Coming to the end of a 3-day holiday weekend, it's been raining outside, so can't do anything outdoors, so I decided to poke around in the garage and see what projects still needed my attention, and I came across this old phone. This is a Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini. It was introduced back in May of 2013, which in 2024 makes this an 11-year-old smartphone. At some point, it couldn't be upgraded anymore. It wouldn't work with the Play Store. The camera was outdated, and basically it just got tossed aside and replaced by other smartphones. But I never could throw it out because I thought, well, maybe it has some purpose that I could use it for. After all, the battery is replaceable, and it still works. Nothing wrong with the phone itself. So I tossed it into storage. So now I'm looking, what could I possibly do with this? Yeah, I could use it to record audio if I'm taking notes in a class, but I've been out of school for a long time, so that doesn't help me. I could take pictures with it, but they're really crappy pictures, unless you want to do like home inventory. For that, it's okay. It no longer has a SIM card, so I can't access a phone network, but of course the phone networks have advanced and they no longer could connect to this because this technology is very old. So basically it doesn't have a whole lot of use, but then I finally thought, well, what if I could use this as a jukebox? Could I load in MP3 files, enough of them so that it's useful, and then just set it in the garage, plug it into maybe some PC speakers, and just let it play music at random? That could be a good use for it. So first thing I did was plug this in. It went through its whole initialization process. And basically what you do is you just tell it no service, no Wi-Fi, no to signing in with Samsung or Google, and no password. And then you end up with something like this, where you get a home screen. And right now we're looking at storage on it, and we see it's mostly empty. It's just the operating system takes a big bulk of it, takes almost 4 gigs. But if I come down here, I see that I have almost 11.5 gigs of available space. And that's plenty for loading MP3 files and just having hours and hours of music that it can randomly play. So of course the next question is, since I can't download anything because the Play Store won't allow me to, it's just too outdated, are there any apps in here that would allow me to do that? And looking here, I see that there's a music icon, and this looks like I could load in music and it will play it. I can generate a playlist, album by artist, by song, so that's pretty cool. Then I come down further, and there's one here called Play Music. And yep, that'll also play MP3 files. So now how do I get music out of this thing? Well, if we go down here, we see there's Bluetooth, so possibly I could connect a Bluetooth speaker to it. But better yet, for my situation, it has a headphone jack in the back. And with a headphone jack, I can plug in a PC speaker, and I have a couple of those laying around. So this could be a viable jukebox. So, unlike the old iPhone 4, which also had a headphone jack, it needs iTunes to get music into it. The nice thing about Android is that you don't. You can just plug into a computer and it sees the folders on the Android system, and you can just copy and paste your music folders into it. And so that's going to be our project today. Load some music in and see if this thing is really worth salvaging. And for those of you with old iPhones, the problem is you need iTunes to get music into this, and it has to be a version that's compatible with the old phone, and you have to have it on your computer. So there are ways of going back do some Google searches and finding some old iTunes. So you may be able to. I just never found it worth the trouble because you have to log in with Apple, and because it's so outdated, you might not be able to do that. So for me, it's not worth trying to convert these into jukeboxes, whereas the Android phones give you a better chance of succeeding. With the outer commuter case stripped off, you can appreciate the beauty of this old phone. This back shell actually snaps off and gives you access to battery that you can replace, and the SIM card and a memory card. So we could actually boost the capability of this device a little bit more by dropping an SD micro card into it. So all we do is plug in the port into our computer, and our Samsung 4S appears in the Explorer. We go into Phone. We see we have direct access to our file folder. And now I wanted to see how much space I actually have on my computer with music. And we're looking at a total of 92 gigabytes of music. And with the capacity of only 11.5 gigabytes on the Samsung, we're limited, but still, it's going to be a lot of music. On my PC, I have a folder called Compilations, and it's about 16 gigs of music. And I definitely want to have that on my Samsung S4 Mini, so we copy that over. And you can continue adding files, just don't fill it up all the way to the max because you need a little bit of working room for the system to work with. At some point during copying, it just stopped. And when we took a look at the phone to see why, and we looked at our storage situation, we saw that all we had left was 2.67 gigs, which is strange because it stopped. So maybe there's a limit on the number of files that can actually be loaded into the music folder. So I attempted to drop additional music, and indeed that seems to have copied. So it doesn't look like our original estimation of how much space we had on the phone was accurate. But again, I still will be able to add additional storage by adding a micro SD card. With the phone's memory mostly maxed out, I only have less than 2 gigs. Let's take this for a test drive and see what really happens. We go out to the apps, and I am going to try that music player, and we see it's now populated. We didn't have to do anything to populate with that. It just did it on its own. And it starts playing. Of course, I can't play it for you because of YouTube copyright restrictions, but it lists the band, name of the song. So of course that's just playing through the built-in speaker, which is that little tiny thing on the back. Let's take it over to the garage and see what we can do there. Here's my work area in the garage, and I'm sorry for the clutter, but it is what it is. I have 2 PC speakers. They're from the days that when you bought a computer, it came with included speakers. Nowadays, you should be able to pick these up for about $10 to $12 at a resale thrift store. The beauty of these speakers is they come with their own power adapter, and sometimes they include even a subwoofer. While you can't run the cell phone off its batteries, some cell phones have really depleted batteries, so you're always better off just to plug it in. And now we take the headphone jack that's included with the PC speakers, and it's stereo. So all you do is plug it into your headphones. Make sure you turn on your speakers. And then we go to our music player. And now you have a jukebox that will play hours of uninterrupted music, either at random or through a playlist. With most of these older phones, the back cover comes off. You get access to the removable and replaceable battery. Usually you'll have a place for the SIM card to drop into, and then an SD card can go in there, usually a micro. And all you need to do is just look online for the manual or the specs, and it'll tell you what size is the max, because there's no sense in going over. So whether it's 16 or 32, that's still a lot of music, or if it's 64, it's even more. And those size SD cards are relatively cheap these days. And to do any of this, your phone doesn't have to be unlocked. This is one from Sprint, and I don't have the code to unlock it, but not a concern. Perhaps you have something else that you can do with an old smartphone. And here's an example where I'm playing music from a Galaxy Samsung 8 via Bluetooth over to my Show Echo 8. If you found this video interesting or useful, leave us a comment, join the subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.